All right, so I wasn't really going to do anything tonight, but I've seen a lot of conversation on the refs, on the calls, and whatnot. So I thought I'd just kind of throw my hat in the ring here. And honestly, it left a sour taste in my mouth. I didn't like it at all. After about 3.5 quarters, the Rams got the ball with about 6 minutes left in the fourth. So before that, the whole game before that, 3.5 full quarters, there was only 3 or 4 penalties. The first 3.5 quarters, 3 or 4 penalties. That's it. And I don't think there was one in the first quarter, so they all came in either the second or the third. There may have been one in the first, but there was so few penalties until we got to the end. The Rams' last drive. I don't count the kneel down. The kneel down shouldn't really count as a drive because you're just ending the game, just taking the clock down. So I don't count that as a drive for the Rams. But that last actual drive where they scored a touchdown, it felt really weird to me. And, it didn't feel right. Even if there was the Packers out there, even if they had won the game, I still would not have liked that. It still would have left a sour taste in my mouth because you go 3.5 quarters of nothing. 3 or 4 penalties, that's it. The game flew by until the end. And then you get 4 or 5 in a row. There was from about like 3.5 minutes inside the 2-minute warning to, I think, Bengals got the ball at the minute 40. So, that 20 seconds in there, there was a penalty. And it's just, it didn't feel right. And it's just, all of a sudden you're just getting all these late game penalties just suddenly out of nowhere after 3.5 quarters of nothing. Well, essentially nothing. I'm going to keep saying nothing. Because, again, there was barely any penalties in the first 3+ quarters. And then all of a sudden you get 5 in a row, 4 or 5 in a row at the end here. And it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I just don't like it. I don't like that, we're suddenly going to now start calling plays. Or calling, PI and all this other stuff. We're going to suddenly now call it on the Rams' last drive. It just doesn't sit right with me. At all. So, again, even if it was my Packers out there, it still would not have felt right at all just because nothing happened in the first 3.5 quarters. They didn't call the face mask on Jalen Ramsey, T. Higgins that did it to Jalen Ramsey, literally coming right out of half. The second, I think it was the second play. It might have been the first play. And there's no call there. I'm trying to recall. I don't think there was any big blatant misses in the first 3.5 quarters that I can think of. I haven't seen a lot of people talk. I just see a lot of people talking about the Ramsey face mask and then the end of the game with all 5 penalties there. Which the first one, the very first one, which Cooper Kupp was running an out route, and he was obviously an out route. You go out towards the boundary, the out of bounds. You're going out, and there was, in my opinion, it was a phantom call. I didn't understand the call. Even the announcers were like, what kind of call is that? And, that set the Rams, which would have been a 4th down, back to a 1st down inside the 5. And then there was calls, backs them up, bring them forward, back them up, bring them forward. And then eventually you just said, okay, well, the Rams just scored a touchdown eventually. Because there was 15 plays that drive, 15 or 16 plays that drive, and at least 4 or 5 are extended because of the all the flags going on. So it just sucks when a ref or not a ref, but when the refs have to get involved late in the game for the Rams' final possession. It didn't sit right. Obviously, the Bengals had a chance. They had a minute 40 to try and go down and score. They got to the 50-yard line and then fell apart. Or about the 50, but it didn't sit right seeing that all the flags just coming in late in the game when they weren't calling anything before. Obviously there was a helmet to helmet, but that got negated because Cooper Kupp literally shoved the guy to the ground and got called for offensive pass interference. But helmet to helmet, obviously you got to call that. Blatantly pushing and shoving someone to the ground to get open. You got to cut. Well, it was off the line. It wasn't to get open. He was coming off the line and did it. So just obviously stuff like that call, but it's just couple of them just felt ticky-tacky. Like, you're going to call that? Like, why? So, I don't really, I mean, I basically made my say. It felt weird to me. It really did. Just that ending just did not sit right with me. It just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. But, Rams won it. I just, I'm happy for Stafford. I don't care about the rest of them. I've explained this in videos. Just if Stafford won it, I'm happy for him. Finally got the ring after 13 years. Or was it 13, 14 years? When did he get drafted? Oh, God, I don't remember. Whatever, it's been a long time. A decade plus of, being with the Lions. And then, finally gets a Super Bowl his first time with a different team. So, happy with him. But I don't care about OBJ. He just cried his way out of the Browns and whatnot. Barely did anything. He had a touchdown early in the first, and then he got injured, and everyone's acting like, oh yeah, good job. Like, he got injured in the first quarter, and then just watched the rest of his team play the rest of the game. Like, he didn't really do a lot. Yes, he got a touchdown early on, but just, not much else there. Aaron Donald was crying and, started getting shovey with people on the Bengals O-line and whatnot. And he was getting frustrated throughout the game, so, whatever. he loves to choke people. He didn't choke anyone today. But, I don't care about the Rams, Cooper Kupp had an amazing year, Triple Crown, but, I still think Devontae's better. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the Rams, but it just, the refs just took me out of the game in the end, and it sucks because the Rams actually were coming back in the third quarter and, early in the fourth, and, they were making this a game, and then it was 20-16 for the longest time before the Rams finally scored, but just the way they scored at the end, it didn't sit right with me. So, if you want to let me know your thoughts down below, I didn't enjoy the end. I didn't like first three quarters were good. And again, the Rams were coming back. But then the ending just killed it for me. So, like the video, share the video around. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm out of here.